to Kaiju Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 2010. That movie is Death Kappa. And, my knowledge of this is a little bit vague. I'm going to tell you, I did watch the trailer for this before I bought the Blu-ray to cover. And the trailer really only showed the basic shit that you see in most kaiju trailers. A giant monster wrecking up a city and fighting other monsters. I know that our title character is based on the Japanese mythological creature, the Kappa. My knowledge of the Kappa is a little bit sketchy at best. The only other thing I really know about this movie, simply because it's smeared all over the fucking cover, is that this is from the producers of Tokyo Gore Police, Machine Girl, and Death Trance. Now, while I haven't seen Death Trance, I did cover both Tokyo Gore Police and Machine Girl for Reaction and Review. Cheap plug, go check my channel and watch those videos. They're both really good. Anyway... spoiler alert, I liked both of those quite a bit. So I'm hoping for Death Kappa to be as good as those two. But you know what? The only way I'm going to find out if this sucker is any good at all is if I shut up and I push play. And I'm going to do that right now. So without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Death Kappa. Okay, I find it really cute that our fucking Kappa's rubber, suit distinctly has pants. Like, there is literally like a cutoff between the pant leg and the Kappa's feet. I just sort of thought I'd mention that. It's really cheap, it's really cheesy, but there's just something kind of lovable and stupid about it, so I'm totally willing to go with it. So let me see if I understand this. Our villain is a lunatic who's continuing her father's research from World War II and is creating half-human, half-fishman immortal soldiers for the glory of Japan. Okay. I guess that sounds cool. I mean, it does sort of sound... I'm trying to make sense of it, but at least it sounds sort of cool. You know, guys, there's one thing I really love about this movie, and that is the sheer cheapness of all the fucking miniatures, man. My god, I just saw a trio of fighter jets fly by with obvious wires hanging. And this, guys, is not because it's on Blu-ray. This is totally a stylistic choice. A callback to 1970s kaiju flicks, and I'm loving every second of it. The cheesy, stupid bullshit is so lovable. I absolutely adore it, man. It's fucking perfect. Well, guys, that was Death Kappa. Let me shut that off. Okay. So, man, I'm trying to figure out where to start. You know what? I'm gonna start with a blanket statement because it's going to explain a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about in the next few minutes. So, about Death Kappa, the movie is very clearly a love letter to old school kaiju flicks. I'm talking stuff from the 60s, the 70s, just those sorts of old school, cheesy, campy as fuck kaiju flicks. And you know what? I am all for that because, well, being a longtime kaiju fan, especially of Godzilla, I've seen this shit in movies where it was supposed to be taken seriously. I've seen this kind of cheesy, writing and god-awful special effects in movies that were supposed to be, serious. This thing is taking all of it and is just laughing at it. It is a full-blown spoof on classic kaiju flicks, and I love that. I am all for that. And we're going to start with special effects before we dive into writing, because when you're doing this kind of like tribute film, a love letter, homage, whatever the hell you want to call it, you want to make sure that you get the look down. And the look of classic kaiju flicks was pure, unfucking mitigated cheese, and we get that here. We get buildings that are clearly made out of cardboard. We have billboards on these buildings, which are clearly just, index cards with shit fucking written on it in Sharpie. The planes are clearly hanging from wires. There is literally no attempt to hide them. In fact, actually, the spotlights that are basically used to light the fucking city are pointed directly at the strings so that way you can see them. Our tanks are clearly fucking RC tanks. Our Gorgon monster, laser, which basically is this film's version of Toho's maser cannons, is basically just the bottom of a fucking RC tank, and then the top, the actual laser part, is just made out of shit that was scrounged out of somebody's kitchen, and it looks fucking amazingly cheesy, and that works. Totally works. So I kind of have to warn, if you're going into this thing and you are expecting a serious kaiju flick, and you're expecting something akin to every fucking Godzilla movie after 1984, or expecting something like that fucking Gamera film I covered in the last episode, you're not going to get that here. You are getting a love letter to classic cheeseball kaiju flicks, and that's awesome. I absolutely love that part of it. And it's not just the miniatures, and it's not just the sets. The fact is, if you have actors who are supposed to be at ground level, they do not use blue screen. They are using rear projection, which is something I haven't seen done in movies since, again, the 70s and the early 80s, and I fucking loved it. It looks so cheap. And by the way, I was talking about how they were clearly showing off the wires on the planes as the planes are flying around the city. Same thing with any soldiers who get caught in any monster attacks. They're clearly just little plastic models which are being bounced around on strings. Again, there is no attempt to hide any of this for obvious reasons. And it just makes the whole thing lovable. I was not expecting that, and goddamn it, I loved it. Speaking of special effects, I guess I should talk about our costumes, our various monster costumes. Kappa looks awesome, and especially when he gets souped up and gets turned into Death. Fucking Kappa, the giant monster that goes into the big fight at the end, because you guys can probably see on the cover here, he has very noticeable eyes with pupils. When he actually gets into the fight, those eyes are swapped out for these blood fucking red lit up eyes, and they look amazing. And the monster that he fights that he fights against in the final act, Hangulus, also looks cool. And Hangulus is basically the half man, half fish monsters that our first villain was making in a fucking lab, kind of merged and mutated into a giant monster, and it looks amazing. And the fight that they have is probably the funniest kaiju fight I have ever seen in the history of cinema. Partially because part of it is a spoof on professional fucking wrestling, so fucking much so that they have power lines around them that are in the position of ring posts. I mean, the actual power line pylons are in the positions of ring posts, and the power lines are set up like ring ropes, and it looks awesome. So yeah, guys, special effects here are fantastic if you know what you're getting into. If you don't, or if you don't get why the special effects are the way that they are, you're gonna hate this thing. Me, fucking loved them. Now, let's move on to writing once more, because this thing is a sort of a this is sort of like a love letter to 60s and 70s kaiju flicks. The story here is in no way good either. The story is cheesy and pointless and stupid, and I wouldn't have it any other fucking way, guys. This movie just literally bathes in all the corny, cheesy tropes that made all those old kaiju films so fucking good, and it just revels in it. So we have characters who are all shallow as shit, and we have plot points that seem, kind of sort of stupid. And of course, at the very end, as Kappa goes back out to the ocean, the soldiers, our big group of commanding soldiers who all stay in this little bunker during the whole fight, are trying to give this deep message about how Kappa is sending us a message about this and this, but they never actually say anything about it, which is what makes it kind of funny, because almost every other film that would do that would just sort of beat you over the head with whatever message they were trying to send. This movie's like, yeah, there's totally something here, except they make it sound as serious as possible in order to make it even funnier. Now, part of that is the voice acting, because I watched this dubbed, which I'm going to tell you guys, if you are going to watch a movie like this, I don't care what your side is on the sub versus dub retard argument, you need to see this thing dubbed, because that just puts a cherry on top of the entire classic cheeseball kaiju homage that this thing is shooting for. So you want to watch it dubbed. It makes it even better because the voice actors knew what kind of movie they were getting into, and they hammed up every single performance to a fucking perfect point, man. I loved it. There is one actor whose lines are not dubbed, and I found that to be even funnier, because it's the only white guy in the whole film who speaks. They don't dub any of his dialogue, and his fucking Japanese. Mind you, I don't speak Japanese, but I've heard tons of it in my lifetime. His Japanese sounds kind of broken, which I'm going to assume was also intentional. And his role, it's not something I've seen in a lot of kaiju films. If I really had to compare this person's role, how many of you have seen Rocky Horror, the criminologist in Rocky Horror? That is what this guy was. And it works. It's fucking great. And this character is the one who gives you like the history of fucking Kappas, in case you know nothing about Kappas and like Kappas, their history, mythology, what they eat, what they do, this and that, yada yada yada. It's all there, and it's really fucking good, guys. The voice acting here is perfect for this film, and I'm just gonna say this right now, if this thing here were supposed to be a serious kaiju film, I would have blasted this fucking voice acting, but because this thing is like a spoof or a parody of those, which is also paying tribute to them, the acting works for it, and I love that about it. Guys, I'm trying to find a fault with this movie, but the only way I can find faults is if you don't understand the film that you're getting into. I'm going to tell you guys right now, almost everything in here is cheesy and stupid and goofy as shit, but that is what makes this so much fun. Now, I still haven't touched on a lot of other shit. I guess I should finish on that before I continue to heap mountains of praise on this thing. Alright, so, our sound mix is really solid. Our sound effects are really good. Our soundtrack. Kappa is calmed. This actually is a strong plot point in the film by probably one of the shittiest J-pop songs I think I've ever heard. And mind you, it is intentionally bad. The lyrics are so fucking stupid, but it seems to calm this fucking Kappa down. And the song, again, the lyrics are cheesy and stupid, but god damn it, the song itself is catchy as hell. So I cannot fault the soundtrack. Our score, it sounds very similar to, again, a lot of the kaiju films from the 60s and 70s. They nailed the general feeling of that score, and that works beautifully. Camera work. Okay, now we get to touch on something that is, again, kind of cheesy and kind of stupid, but once more, it was totally intentional because of the style of the film. Our camera work here, when we're talking about the actors, is fine. When we're talking about the wide shots of our two fucking kaiju fighting, it's fine. But when it's close-ups of the jets, the tanks, the Gorgon fucking laser, all of that, well, first of all, it looks as if it's been digitally zoomed in, which makes it look even, which just sort of makes it look all cheap and fucking crappy. But at the same time, it's done like that. It's zoomed in either fucking optically or fucking digitally, specifically to show off every flaw on these things. So when they are showing the tanks as they are rolling down the street, the camera is positioned in just such a way so that way you can see So you can see the RC aerial on the back of the tank wavering back and forth as they're trying to maneuver their RC tank down this like wooden fucking street. It looks fucking great. Same thing with the jets, same thing with the fucking Gorgon laser. It is all done specifically to show off how cheap everything fucking looks, and I love that. There also are shots of the kaiju, which again are like blurry and poorly focused and all this. And again, that is because that was how some of those movies looked back in the 60s and 70s. So once more, it's all total. It is all totally a callback. It really can't be a fault against them when that was their goal. Ultimately, guys, I'm able to recommend Death Kappa. Yes, provided this is a big. I'm going to affix a gigantic asterisk on that. Provided that you're a fan of 60s and 70s kaiju films and you just want some good, cheesy fun. This thing is an amazing tribute to those films, and the humor in this is amazing. I didn't even really touch on the humor. There actually, guys, is a lot of, I would almost call it Zucker fucking Brothers style background humor. And you'll be getting a laugh out of that. You'll be getting a laugh out of the cheesy sets. You'll be getting a laugh out of the jokes that are actually written into the primary, fucking dialogue. Guys, this thing is just fucking dripping with humor and wit and cheesiness and awesomeness, and I fucking loved it. You guys absolutely have got to see this thing if you have the chance. If you can find it on Amazon, buy it. If it's sitting on Netflix, watch it. And if it's not dubbed on Netflix, then god damn it, go out and buy it. You need to watch this thing dubbed. I cannot stress that hard enough. Guys, this movie, I had no clue if this thing was going to be any fucking good at all. This could very well be the best movie I will see all month. And that is saying a lot, considering the other films I have lined up. This sucker could very easily be the best out of fucking Kaiju month, and it's not even from any of the. And it's not even from any of, like, the heavy-hitting franchises. It's not from fucking Godzilla or Gamera or the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. No, it's a fucking spoof tribute to all of those. I absolutely adored this thing. This sucker's gonna have a nice, happy spot in my fucking Blu-ray collection. I couldn't be any happier to have bought it. Now, I kind of feel like doing a little bit more with Kaiju and all that fun shit. I still have Godzilla on the PS4, and damn it, I haven't played that game in a long time. I think I'm going to go and play that. That is sounding absolutely amazing right now. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.